back here with the NCN 6 o'clock news. At the Namsel West Coast, Demerara husband and wife are now patients at the Georgetown Public Hospital after police stopped the man from bludgeoning his wife to death. Reports are that 36-year-old Dawn Dash was reportedly stabbed about the body by her 37-year-old husband Edward Dash, who then turned the knife on himself. Investigations reveal that the couple had an argument around 1 hour yesterday. Nearby relatives said they heard screams and shouts and contacted the police, who responded quickly, managing to enter the locked house, which also had grilled windows. Upon entering, the ranks found Dawn Dash with stab wounds about the body and Edward Dash with stab wounds to the upper part of his body and feet. Meanwhile, the suspected weapon has been recovered by the police. There is a need for a multi-sectoral approach to the fight against crime in CARICOM, and countries need to combine their technical and human resource. This was a call issued by Deputy Secretary General of CARICOM, Lolita Applewhite, during the opening of the Council Ministers of National Security and Law Enforcement meet at the International Convention Center, Lillian Dahl. Edward Lane reports.
CARICOM's National Security Ministers and Chiefs of Police and Army have met at the National Convention Center, Lillian Dahl, to devise strategies and policies to tackle crime and national security in the region. Addressing the officials this morning, Deputy Secretary General of CARICOM, Lolita Applewhite, said there must be collaboration among member states. She noted that there must be new approaches by the security sector since crime has evolved.
Given the multifaceted nature of crime, it calls for a multi-sectoral approach. The development of this crime prevention initiative under the umbrella of COSAD signals a first step in promoting cooperation among councils.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Samuel Hines in his address called on the ministers to spend the day crafting the right policies that will address the law and order breakdown in today's societies.
We must prevail in overcoming those who are inclined to criminal activity and who pursue activities that threaten our security. Our countries and our people are hurting. Our collective image has been dented, and our economies have been affected by the events of the last decades.
The chairman of council is Trinidad's Minister of National Security, Martin Joseph, who said the grouping has made significant successes over the past years.
And here we meet again in Guyana, the land of many waters, and with an agenda that seeks primarily to update on the status of implementation of projects, enhance cooperation in providing security for the Summit of the Americas, and further strengthen political engagement on the security issues that were defined earlier by heads.
Edward Lane, the 6 o'clock news.
The planet is heading for an ecological credit crunch, which has significant economic impacts, including high cost for food, water and energy. This is according to the Living Planet Report 2008, issued by the World Wildlife Fund International and the Zoological Society of London. This report indicates that by mid-2030s, the world will need 2 planets to sustain current lifestyles. Here again is Edward Lane.
The document says that the current demand on the natural resources outreach what the Earth can sustain by about 33%. The Living Planet Report 2008 adds that more than 3/4 of the world's population lives in countries where consumption levels are outstripping environmental renewals. This, the report says, often overdraw on the agricultural land, forests, seas, and resources of other countries to sustain them.
Obviously, for developing countries like Guyana, it's kind of hard to understand because, a lot of Guyanese are living below the poverty line. But it would affect us all because of because of what's going on in other countries and the level of demand in other countries. Everybody will suffer.
Shazin Bacha says the report, which was done by leading scientists, suggests that the reckless consumption of natural capital is endangering the world's future prosperity with clear economic impacts on food, water and energy.
I'm more aware of how lucky we are to have a country with most of its natural resources still in place because, we're one of the few countries in the world where that is so. And natural resources are becoming a priceless commodity. There are a lot of countries in the world people wish, they wish that they could have our resource and they can be in a resource-rich country as we are here.
Developed countries are cited as the major contributors to this phenomenon. Meanwhile, Forest Officer of WWF, Janice Wallace, feels that populations need to better understand the implication of some of their actions and measures to be taken.
To build on what Moni just said, WWF is playing a role in ensuring that Guyanese at large are aware of their responsibility to the environment. All right, we have an education and awareness program which Moni is heading. And that program, we have various forms of media which we can introduce to the society at large.
Edward Lane, the 6 o'clock news.
Vice President of the Demerara Speedboat Association, Lancelot Mosley, says his association is not ready to reduce their fares as consumers expect. Mosley says the fares were raised once in 3 years despite a price hike in both parts. Details from Monica Jones.
Speedboat operators had increased their fares from $80 to $100 after oil prices had increased on the world market. The move was taken in light of increases in the minibus fares some months ago. Now that minibus fares have been reduced, passengers are curious as to whether the speedboat fare will be adjusted. But Vice President to the Demerara Speedboat Association, Lancelot Mosley, believes a reduction is not necessary since fares were not increased for over 3 years.
In regards to bringing the fare down, collectively we all have to agree. Because there's a lot of things, and not only the gas has been talked, there's all the accessories to put with the boat itself, so to speak, okay, had went up. $20 is what we had increased for 3 years and 3 months, and I think that's reasonable.
Following the increase in oil prices at that time, many operators have been using one engine to save. When asked if this will be adjusted, Speedboat Monitor Steve Narayan says this has not affected the service offered.
And if we take 2 engines, we can do it less than half of the time. So if we take 3.5 minutes or more, it's better for them. We're accident free. We don't have accident out here anymore. No, it's designed to have 2 engines, but it doesn't design to use 2 engines. Because 1 engine is push these boats reasonable for us. And you just do it less, you could do it less than 3.5 minutes with 1 engine. And it's a safer speed, so there's still a slow speed, it's safer speed.
Due to the fuel price and the cost, we had to use 1 engine. So I don't see a problem with 1 engine. I mean, we have 2 engines, we use 1, and we have the next one on the stock.
The association indicated its intention to reduce the fare provided there is an overall price reduction in both materials. Monica Jones, the 6 o'clock news.
A Denamstel resident, 27-year-old Melissa Angela Payne, has been shot and killed. The incident occurred around 8 hours 20 today in the vicinity of Agricola after 2 men robbed her. Reports are that Payne was traveling in Motor Canter GHH 5399, driven by her reputed husband David Fraser, and was accompanied by her cousin Marvel Payne when the vehicle developed mechanical problems in the volatile East Bank community. It was while awaiting assistance on the roadway that the 2 men, one of whom was armed with a handgun, approached and held Melissa Payne at gunpoint. They then proceeded to take away her gold chain and handbag, during which she put up resistance and was shot to her right side. The men then ran, making good their escape, and Payne was rushed to the Georgetown Public Hospital, where she succumbed while receiving medical attention. A warhead was recovered at the scene by the police, and investigations surrounding the robbery and killing are ongoing.